In the heart of a remote jungle, amidst the whirring of helicopter blades and the thick pulse of untamed wilderness, a doctor named Michael steps forward with a walking stick. Frail in body but fierce in determination, he opens his hand, bleeding into the air. Bats, thousands of them, erupt from a cavern surrounding him, responding to his call. His workers flee, but he welcomes them. We go to Greece of 25 years ago. Michael, who is hospitalized due to his illness, meets Lucian, who has just been brought to the hospital by the doctor Nicholas, who is taking care of him. Michael, who has been in this hospital for a very long time, has always called his peers, who come and go, Milo, and he does the same to Lucian. He tells him that there is no cure for this disease because there are missing parts in their DNA and that they need to have oil changed 3 times a day. On the way to school, their peers passing by on the street make fun of them. Michael calls the nurse for Milo, who has fainted at that moment. However, since there is no time, and because he knows machines, Michael fixes Milo's broken device with a pen, which attracts the attention of the Dr. Nicholas. And he tells the little boy that he can go to a good school with a scholarship thanks to his talent. Michael accepts the offer and leaves a note for Milo, stating that he will find a cure for his illness no matter what. Meanwhile, the paper flies out of the window, and when Milo goes out to find the note, he sees that the group of students who made fun of him took it. While he is fighting with them and gets beaten, Dr. Nicholas comes to separate them. We return to the present day and listen to the speech of Dr. Nicholas about Michael's doctorate and his achievements in bloodborne diseases at the Nobel Prize ceremony. However, later on, as we see Dr. Martine Bancroft, we learn that Michael rejected the award, stating that it is given for a byproduct of a failed experiment. While giving Michael his medicine, Dr. Bancroft tells him that she learned about the bats he brought from another island and that mixing human DNA with these bats is dangerous. However, Michael states that it will not be possible to help his own illness or others without pushing the boundaries. Meanwhile, he records that the 117th test subject, a mouse, also failed the test. At that time, one of his patients, a child, suddenly becomes unwell, and the 2 doctors immediately go to the child and calm her down with medication. After the child returns to a mobile state, Dr. Bancroft, who catches sight of the mouse, informs Michael that the mouse came back to life. When Michael returns home, we see Dr. Nicholas giving Milo medicine. Michael and Milo go out for a walk, and Michael says that he is very close to finding a cure for their illness, but that it is very experimental, perhaps unethical, very expensive, and illegal, so that it would have to be done in international waters. As their time is running out, and this may be their last chance, Milo accepts it. While the crew is spending time among themselves on a ship floating in international waters, Michael and Dr. Bancroft confirm that the DNA change in a bat they were working on works, so they start testing it on a human, Michael himself, as the 243rd test subject. Dr. Bancroft injects Michael, who is already weakened by his illness, with medication and ties his body to the stretcher as his body begins to tremble. Meanwhile, when there is a split-second power outage, one of the crew members goes to check on the doctor. The man with the gun harasses Dr. Bancroft. At that moment, when they look back at the stretcher, they see that Michael is not there. When they enter the room, they find Michael hanging from the ceiling like a bat. The crew member notifies his other friends and starts shooting. Michael responds to the bullets with an attack. Dr. Bancroft quickly goes out of the room and closes the door. Michael seems to recognize Bancroft but is distracted by the sound of the alarm. At that moment, the rest of the crew arrives and Michael breaks the window and jumps out. He dodges the bullets with great agility and destroys the men with fast and sharp jumps. A few men run out and lock the door. When he sees Bancroft fall and faint in that chaos, he gets even more angry and starts to break the door. He chases the crew, all armed, and kills one. The others let fly bullets. They continue to run, but the danger from the ceiling kills another one. One more is killed with a cut to the throat, and another is killed with vicious dismemberments. As the ship continues to sail, we see Michael lying on the ground. His face and hands have changed shape. As if he is regaining consciousness, his whole body returns to normal. In fact, he is better than before. He has gained weight and his muscles have developed. He walks around the ship and looks at the destruction happening around him as if he is witnessing it for the first time. When he comes to the laboratory, he sees Bancroft still lying on the ground and runs to her and checks her pulse. She is still alive. Then he watches everything that happened on the camera. He cannot believe his eyes. He feels sick and vomits. He calls the Coast Guard for help and finally jumps into the sea in the dark of the night. Towards morning, we see FBI Agent Stroud and Agent Rodriguez arrive at the scene. Agent Rodriguez states what happened, that the only survivor, Bancroft, has not yet regained consciousness. An unidentified man made the report. The camera recordings were deleted, and that all the dead bodies were drained of blood. While Milo is watching the news about the ship, he sees Dr. Nicholas enter and turns off the TV. Although he tries to hide the truth from the doctor, his concern is visible on his face. Michael secretly visits Dr. Bancroft, who is admitted to the hospital, and checks on her condition. Michael then goes to his own lab and starts to stagger as he walks, as if he's suddenly getting weaker. He barely makes it to the cooler where the blood bags are and manages to drink one at the last moment. His face seems to be transforming, but he returns to normal. He keeps time on his watch. We see Michael recording the results of his experiment. He talks about his penchant for consuming human blood and how he cannot even imagine what he can do today when he couldn't walk properly yesterday. He says that all this super strength and speed is thanks to the artificial blood, and goes among the bats he took from the island and says that they accept him among them like a brother. He even develops echolocation and bat radar. As he thinks about how to control this, he focuses, closes his eyes and throws the ball, listens to it bounce around, and catches it again. However, he states that this situation is temporary, that the artificial blood he drinks can sustain him for 6 hours, and even this is gradually decreasing. He then locks himself in a room, curious about what will happen if he doesn't drink blood. Towards the end, he realizes that he must either drink blood or die, but he gives up, thinking that what happened on that ship should never happen again. At that very moment, Milo, who came out of the buzz of the city, is walking with his usual walking stick and enters Michael's office. He calls out to his friend, but can't hear anything but deep groaning sounds. He quickly goes to Michael. His friend asks him to give him one of the blood bags in the next room. He does so and sees that Michael becomes stronger after drinking the blood and realizes that he has finally found the cure. He asks him to give it to him too, but Michael refuses, saying that it is a curse and that he killed people because of it. When Milo continues to insist, Michael's face changes again as he gets angry and shouts. Milo leaves the place helplessly. FBI agents visit the recovered Dr. Bancroft, show her photos of the dead bodies on the ship, and ask her what happened. Bancroft says she has trouble remembering. Then, before leaving, Agent Stroud gets confirmation from her that she works for Dr. Michael Morbius' firm. A hospital worker who has been on duty late into the night is walking down the corridor to leave after finishing her work, but she hears a voice behind her and starts to walk faster, even run, in fear. When she turns on all the lights in the corridor and checks her surroundings, she is relieved to see that nothing is happening, but suddenly her soul and blood leave her body because of a hand squeezing her neck. Michael, who is waiting for Dr. Bancroft, hears the panicked conversations in the corridor thanks to his sharp senses and walks towards it. As soon as he sees the woman who collapsed in the corridor, he understands that what happened is because of him, and with regret he cannot help but go to his laboratory, put all the blood bags in his bag and set off to go out. Just as he is about to leave, he encounters FBI agents at the exit. The agents try to corner him by asking him difficult questions and tell him that he is better than he seems on the news. Although Michael answers the questions calmly, he hears the announcement over the agents' earpieces about the case at the hospital. When the agents want to arrest him, he has no choice and quickly neutralizes both agents and starts to escape. Since the other police are after him too, he starts to jump up the stairwell to the rooftop, which is the only way out. When he reaches the top of the building, he quickly throws his bag aside and runs to the edge of the building. And just as he is about to jump, he stops and sees Agent Stroud coming after him. We see Michael calculating how long he can last in prison without blood. He is then interrogated by agents. When the agents ask him why he killed the men on the ship and the female employee at the hospital, he says he cannot answer and that he needs the contents of the bag he left on the rooftop. But the agents end the interrogation by stating that they are evidence. Milo comes to visit Michael disguised as a lawyer. He says they will get him out of here and leaves a blood bag on the bed. As Milo is leaving the detention cell, he drinks from his canteen and stumbles, but he doesn't have his walking stick with him. As he moves forward, we see the expression on his face turn into happiness, and his walk returns to normal. Michael finds the walking stick that Milo forgot in his cell and realizes what he did and gets angry. Unable to control himself, he drinks the blood bag, then gets even more angry with the strength he has gained and starts to break the wall of his cell. Hearing this, the guards grab their weapons and take action. Michael moves forward by jumping to the opposite building, from there to another and another, finally stopping and watching the city. Meanwhile, Milo happily buys a newspaper from a shop and reads an article about Michael. Unable to stand the shop owner's bad language about Michael, he attacks the man. Sensing this, Michael goes straight there, jumping from building to building. Michael tells Milo that by doing this, he has become a monster like him. Milo says that he doesn't think they are monsters, confesses that he killed the nurse at the hospital, and claims that it was an accident and that he couldn't defend himself in his first time. Realizing that Michael won't stop, he shouts that he won't give up the power he has gained and knocks him down and starts to run away, enters a subway station, but Michael is after him. At the end of the chase, both of them collapse on the ground and Milo shouts with admiration and joy. He thinks that they have evolved. Just as Michael says that he will reverse this situation, the police arrive, and when they want to arrest Milo, but he, who acts as if he will not object, gets away from the first policeman and stabs the other with a piece of wall tile, bites the policeman who is holding him, and starts dancing mercilessly after knocking down the 4 policemen who start shooting him as they arrive there. While he starts to praise Michael again about this power, Michael wants to get away from there, ashamed of the monster he created. However, Milo doesn't let go of him and hits him a few times and pulls him down on the ground. Although Michael says he doesn't want to fight him, Milo doesn't listen and starts running towards him. Meanwhile, due to his developed senses, Michael senses the wind created by the train coming to their stop and suddenly jumps in front of the train and starts flying with the air current like a bat. We see the crime scene team examining the bodies of the police officers in the subway. Agent Stroud warns Agent Rodriguez to keep an eye on Dr. Bancroft. We see Bancroft working, watched by Milo from across the street. Bancroft then goes out and looks behind her as she walks down the crowded street, as if she realizes she is being followed. Suddenly, she enters a market and gets out and gets on the bus. Agent Rodriguez, who is running after her, loses track of the woman. While Bancroft is looking at the newspaper in her hand, Michael, who is sitting behind her, calls out to her. He says that he did not kill the nurse in the hospital or the police in the subway, that Milo took the serum and he must stop him before much worse consequences occur. They go to a cafe and Michael says that he is getting by with the artificial blood for now, but he is afraid of becoming like Milo when that runs out. While they are talking, 2 young men who give the counterfeit money to the cash mention that they need to get to the lab, and Michael, who hears this with his strong intuition, asks Bancroft to provide him a few things from his lab and starts following the young men. When the boys leave their bags and enter a place, Michael steals a few bags of blood from their bags and walks away. He stops in the street and uses his sharp senses to advance towards the boys' conversation about their illegal earnings. When he arrives at the laboratory that the boys are secretly operating, he demands that they leave it to him. When the boy in charge asks him if he is kidding him and attempts to attack him, Michael breaks the bones in his hand, causing the others to run away as well. When the entire lab is left to him, he starts working. Meanwhile, Milo, who feels no need to hide his newly gained strength and energy, expresses his happiness by dancing and wearing a nice suit. We then see him drinking at a club. He flirts with a woman next to him, but her boyfriend doesn't like it and pushes him away. Milo coolly says another time and leaves the place. As the same people exit the venue, Milo is waiting for them in his transformed form on top of a building opposite and jumps down in anger. Bancroft quickly enters the lab and encounters Milo waiting inside. Although she answers his question by saying that she doesn't know where Michael is, she can't hide her rapid heartbeat from Milo's sharp senses. However, Milo leaves without doing anything to her. Bancroft collects what Michael wanted from her and sets off. Agents raid Bancroft's home, but find neither her nor her cat. Bancroft cuts his hand while preparing to feed her cat, and Michael, who smells blood, seems unable to control himself for a moment, but with difficulty returns to his human form. He goes out to the terrace to breathe, and Bancroft goes to him, saying that he has closed her finger. They kiss, leaving the noise of the city behind them, without knowing that there is a pair of cold eyes watching them from afar. While the agents are looking into the case of the people killed after leaving the club, they blame Michael as the bodies seem to be drained of blood again. But when they look at the camera footage from the store across the street, they realize that the criminal is someone else. News crews who have access to all these recordings and more broadcast them all on the television news, which Dr. Nicholas also watches with concern. Nicholas goes to Milo's house, and when he tells him that what he is doing is wrong, he is met with anger. Nevertheless, he offers him an artificial blood bag to help this young man who he has spent his whole life caring for. However, Milo, who does not accept this, states that Nicholas is also on Michael's side. He says that he will convince Michael to be himself. He slits the stomach of his doctor, who says that this is not him, with one move, and knocks him to the ground, asking him to give a message to Michael. He wants him to tell him that he will kill as many people as he can. When Michael prepares a needle, he tells Bancroft that he put an antibody in it, which is deadly to bats and fatal to humans. When he moves on to prepare the second needle, Bancroft asks who it is for, and Michael says that she knows it and that it should be like this. He brought this to life and should end it with himself. While walking, Dr. Nicholas calls him and barely says anything. Michael realizes that the old man is injured and goes to him angrily. When he gets to the doctor, he tries to stop the bleeding of the injured man, but Dr. Nicholas's last words are that Michael should stop Milo. Meanwhile, Michael's ears hear his own name echoing somewhere. Milo has captured Bancroft and is forcing her to say it. Michael tries to locate them using his senses, finds them while Milo is hurting the woman, and angrily flies from the buildings towards them. It's like he's actually flying like a bat. When he gets there, he finds Bancroft lying on the ground, about to take her last breath. While kissing her, Bancroft makes Michael's lip bleed and swallows the dripping blood. She tells him to drink her own blood, wants him to become stronger, and to ensure that her death is not in vain. When she closes her eyes, Michael has no other choice, bites the woman on the neck, drinks her blood, and becomes even stronger. He jumps angrily towards Milo, who calls out to him, and they slip down. The expected fight begins. With powerful punches, Michael is dragged to one place and Milo to another. Michael soon tries to determine his location, but Milo jumps on him and they fall down again. Milo rips Michael's stomach open hard and throws him into another building. He is very badly injured, and before he can get up, he is thrown by Milo again to another building across the street. As he falls to the ground unconscious, Milo grabs him by the neck again and pulls him into a building. From there, he falls onto the road, and they go underground by opening a crack in the ground. Michael is hanging from a pipe while Milo falls to another place. Milo shouts at Michael again, asking him to show him more, wishing him to be loyal to what he has created. Michael gets really angry, lets out a loud scream, and falls to the ground. His hand touches the water, and it seems to be emitting some kind of signal. Milo looks around him and tries to understand what is happening. Before he understands, a large flock of bats arrives and surrounds Michael and lifts him to his feet. Meanwhile, Milo, who has taken a long piece of metal in his hand, runs towards him, but Michael's strong senses kick in. He perceives time as if it has slowed down and feels like he is dancing with the bats, and pushes Milo back with a blow. He pins him to the wall and then unleashes the bats on Milo as if he were their pack leader. The bats pin Milo to the ground, and Michael directs them once more, preventing Milo from getting up. As he walks towards him, he takes the needle out of his pocket, and when he finally stabs Milo in the heart, Milo's voice returns to normal, and his final words become not of defiance, but of sorrow, an echo of the scared boy he once was. He tells Michael that he is sorry, that he wants him to remember Michael gave him his name. However, it is too late, and Milo closes his eyes, having returned to his human form. Meanwhile, the police have surrounded the crack in the road, and agents also arrive at the scene. At that moment, bats jump out of the crack and prevent Michael from being noticed as he flies with them. They spread throughout the city. At this time, Bancroft opens her eyes, which have turned red, and comes back to life. Michael, shaped by sacrifice, grief, and a haunting thirst, continues to fly, and the story ends here.